But if you guys take a look at the stands, all the seats, even the courtside seats, are empty.
The WNBA is in crisis and the numbers don't lie. Just weeks ago, fans were tuning in by the millions to watch Caitlin Clark dominate the court, but now the stadiums are empty, the ratings have plummeted, and the league is facing a challenge it didn't see coming. Since Clark's elimination from the playoffs, viewership has dropped by over 50%, leaving fans and analysts alike asking the same question: can the WNBA survive without its rising star? Clark's incredible play brought excitement and energy to the league, but without her, it's clear that something is missing. Why is one player so critical to the league's success? And what does this mean for the future of women's basketball? Stay tuned as we dive into the impact Caitlin Clark has had on the WNBA and why her absence is leaving such a huge void. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's rising star. Caitlin Clark isn't just a great basketball player, she's a phenomenon. From her jaw-dropping three-pointers to her uncanny ability to control the pace of a game, Clark has single-handedly captivated fans across the globe. Her performance this season with the Indiana Fever didn't just break records, it brought in an entirely new audience, many of whom had never watched a WNBA game before. Her rise to stardom has been nothing short of meteoric. Clark's games regularly drew over 1 million viewers, far exceeding the league's usual numbers. To put that into perspective, when the Fever were still in the playoffs, their matchups were often the most watched WNBA games of the year. In contrast, games without Clark, even featuring established stars like A'ja Wilson or Breanna Stewart, struggled to break 500,000 viewers.
12 million people are watching ESPN for a game. If that game was on CBS, they probably would have had 25, 30 million people watching that game.
Clark's presence transcends basketball. She's not just an athlete, she's a cultural icon. Her charisma, skill, and infectious energy have made her a fan favorite, not just in the US, but internationally. Even when the Fever played on the road, the stands were often packed with her supporters, turning away games into something that felt more like home court advantage. Fans wanted to see her in action, whether she was sinking deep threes or making impossible passes. As the WNBA faces its current crisis, it's becoming increasingly clear that Clark's star power is unmatched. The league's reliance on her to drive viewership may have seemed risky, but the numbers don't lie. With her in the game, ratings soar. Without her, the WNBA is struggling to keep fans engaged. The ratings plummet post-Clark's elimination. As soon as Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever were eliminated from the playoffs, the impact on WNBA viewership was immediate and undeniable. In fact, the numbers dropped so drastically that it left many wondering how one player's absence could cause such a dramatic shift.
In Game 1 of the playoffs, the Fever had nearly 2 million viewers tuning in, while all the other games had around 400,000. Even the WNBA Countdown, which was aired before the Indiana Fever game, had more viewers than 2 of the series.
Before her elimination, games featuring Clark regularly pulled in over 1.8 million viewers, even going head-to-head with NFL Sunday broadcasts. Compare that to the ratings for the Aces versus Liberty game just a week later. It barely scratched 900,000. The ratings drop wasn't just a blip, it was a steep, consistent decline. Viewership for WNBA playoff games, which had been building momentum throughout the season, suddenly plummeted by more than 50% in the days following Clark's exit. Even the most highly anticipated matchups, featuring stars like A'ja Wilson and Kelsey Plum, couldn't stop the freefall. Without Clark, it became painfully obvious. Fans were tuning out in droves. The sharp drop in viewership is a wake-up call for the WNBA. It's not enough to have talented players or exciting games. The league needs a face, a personality that fans can rally behind. Clark provided that in spades, but her absence has left the league scrambling to keep the attention of fans who had become hooked on her dynamic style of play. The WNBA is learning the hard way that in today's sports landscape, star power is everything. As the playoffs continue, the league is trying to figure out how to regain the momentum it lost. But without Caitlin Clark, it's becoming increasingly clear that the road ahead is much steeper than anyone anticipated. WNBA's missed opportunity, a league struggling to adapt. The WNBA's reliance on Caitlin Clark may seem like a recent development, but the signs were there all season long. From the moment she stepped onto the court, Clark captured the imagination of fans and media alike. Yet instead of embracing her as the league's next big star, the WNBA seemed slow to adapt, treating her rise as business as usual. And now, with Clark out of the playoffs, the league is paying the price for not capitalizing on her popularity when they had the chance. Throughout the season, Clark's games were the ones to watch. Her matchups drew record-breaking audiences, both in the stands and on television, while other games struggled to generate the same level of interest.
You know, Angel Reese had that injury to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
Yet, despite this clear difference in fan engagement, the league didn't seem to push her as the face of the WNBA. Instead, they kept the spotlight spread across a broader range of players, failing to fully lean into the phenomenon that Clark had become. And then came the controversy around the Rookie of the Year vote. Despite her standout performances and massive impact on the league, Clark wasn't unanimously awarded Rookie of the Year, sparking outrage among her fan base. The WNBA kept the voting process anonymous, which only fueled more frustration, leading many to believe that Clark had been snubbed. Fans demanded transparency, but the league stayed silent, creating an unnecessary rift between the WNBA and its most passionate supporters. The bigger issue, WNBA's structural challenges. While Caitlin Clark's absence has undoubtedly contributed to the WNBA's viewership decline, the problem goes deeper than one player. The league has struggled with structural issues for years, and this latest ratings drop is simply the most visible symptom of a much larger problem. One major issue is how the WNBA has positioned itself in the broader sports landscape. While players are undoubtedly passionate about advocating for social justice causes, there's a growing sentiment among some fans that the league's political stances have overshadowed the actual game. This is a delicate balance. The players' voices and advocacy are important, but many fans just want to watch basketball. The question the WNBA faces is whether it can find a way to keep its core message while not alienating fans who might be less politically engaged. Additionally, the league has struggled to market its stars in the same way that men's leagues do. The NBA, for example, thrives on its ability to promote players like LeBron James or Kevin Durant, turning them into global superstars. The WNBA has amazing talent from Aja Wilson to Breanna Stewart, but it hasn't figured out how to push these players into the mainstream. Caitlin Clark was a step in the right direction, but without consistent widespread marketing efforts, even the brightest stars struggle to maintain momentum. Can Caitlin Clark save the WNBA? The question now is whether Caitlin Clark alone can save the WNBA from its current downward spiral. Her impact on the league is undeniable, but one player can only do so much. The WNBA has a golden opportunity in front of them, a chance to build around Clark's star power and take women's basketball to new heights. But will they seize it? Clark represents more than just a ratings boost. She's a symbol of what the future of the WNBA could be. Exciting, dynamic, and capable of drawing in new fans from all over the world. But the league needs to recognize this and adjust its approach accordingly. That means more marketing, more focus on individual players, and a renewed commitment to keeping the fans who have been drawn in by Clark's magic. The WNBA's future isn't set in stone. There's still time to make the changes needed to turn this around. But it all starts with recognizing that Caitlin Clark is more than just another player. She's a movement. And if the league can't adapt to this reality, it risks missing out on a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So, what's next for the WNBA? The league is at a crossroads, and how it handles the aftermath of Caitlin Clark's playoff exit will determine its future. If the WNBA can embrace its stars, modernize its marketing, and keep fans engaged, there's no telling how far it can go. But if it continues to rely on the same old methods, the viewership crisis we're seeing now may be just the beginning. Caitlin Clark has already shown us what's possible when the right player captures the public's imagination. Now it's up to the WNBA to keep that momentum going. What do you think? Can the WNBA bounce back? Or will they continue to struggle without their rising star? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on the future of women's basketball. Thanks for watching.